Boo. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, boo. We watched Casper. We are in defense of bad movies.
Is that the ghost?
Sam here with another In Defense of Bad Movies episode. Guys, it's number 2 this year. That's
what is happening? Do we like each other again? Are we friends again?
Were we not?
I don't know
friends?
if you know this. We got into a huge fight.
Is that what happened?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. That voice you hear, those melodic tones. Well, I mean, the voice you're hearing right now is me, Sam. I am your, as always, intrepid host. And the other voice you were hearing was Robert, our intrepid co-host. I don't know why I called you Robert. You're Bobby.
Robert. Well, thank you, Samuel.
Because it says right there, Robert Mattern on your Zoom thing. And yeah, welcome. And also welcome to the show, my other intrepid host, Loren.
I'm intrepid.
You're one of the most intrepidest people I know.
Thank you. That's really intrepid of you to say.
Thank you.
I think only reporters are allowed to be intrepid.
Really?
I think that's the rule. All liars and cheats and
fake news. So, In Defense of Bad Movies, of course, if you're listening, you know what this is all about. It is the show where we watch a bad movie, a movie that's generally regarded as bad, but at least one of us likes it, and this week was no exception. I say this week, like, yeah, it's a weekly thing. This time is no exception, as Bobby brought to the table Casper.
I did. Guys, I brought you Casper.
95?
You are welcome.
Yeah, ooh, this was a rough one.
Bobby, I want to be friends with you. It's been a while since we've seen you, and, you know, you might be forgetting why we're charming, but I really don't like your movie.
You know, it's interesting.
Is it?
I was listening to an older episode last week, and I went on this rant about how nostalgia is bad, actually. And how it's really important that we acknowledge that things we liked in our past, we can like them, but they're bad. They're bad. And as I was watching Casper, a little part of me was like, oh, fuck.
I was shocked because I'm sure I saw this movie more than once, if not several times. I was a big Christina Ricci head, Bill Pullman is a zaddy. So, like, I totally watched this movie. I was amazed at how little I remembered. Like, none of this looks familiar. Okay. Who are these people?
So, I will say right off the bat, Casper's not a good movie. It hardly qualifies as a movie. It is a string of loosely connected scenes from different movies that all exist within the same runtime. But there are kernels of things that I think are good.
Oh,
there are things that I react to now that I think I reacted to the same as a child, where I'm like, yes, I like this.
Okay.
You're spearheading the evolution of the show that Sam wants to go.
Yeah, kind of.
But as a whole, no, it's not very good. I mean, there are times when it's straight up insane.
Yes.
It feels like there are things that were like studio noted to the point of like being nonsensical.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. We don't have Laura here. Do we want to talk about what this movie even is? I mean, do we want a plot summary?
It's such a shame not to have Laura here, because I know she happened to watch it with you, right? You guys had to do this together.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like her takes would be so hot. At least vocal.
I was going to say, did she at least give you anything you could pass along to us? I've got a Pat's Corner thing.
You do?
Right now.
No, her take on this movie was pretty tepid, actually.
Okay.
She was just like, it's not bad. And then
Wow.
that was about it.
Okay.
Not what I expected.
So she was wrong. Yeah. Oh, wow. So let's start off. Do you think there were enough cameos in this movie?
You know, as a child, I believe this movie came out when I was smack dab in the middle of elementary school when this movie came out, and I really appreciated the Father Guido Sarducci cameo. That's something I really totally enjoyed.
Yeah.
You know how kids love 70s SNL.
I like how I like how Dan Aykroyd could not be bothered to shave his mustache. Because Ray Stantz doesn't have a mustache, but that's okay.
He agreed to run a few feet in one scene. That was enough effort for him.
It's been a few years, we don't know what he looks like, but it's been a couple of years since Ghostbusters 2.
In Ray's canon, he is,
He's grew a
hitting on hard
mustache.
times, moved to Maine.
Apparently working all alone. Let's get into this.
Let's get into it.
Is this part of the Ghostbusters universe?
Well,
because
apparently-
I want to know why he's working alone and why these 3 ghosts were too much. I guess 4 ghosts, but one of them's good. Why it was too much for him?
They're all split. Apparently, Egon moved somewhere and had a child. I guess that's the plot of the new one we're never going to see. Is that right? Is that correct?
Oh, I don't know.
And
Okay,
Ghostbusters Turn Off the Dark? Is that...
So the very bare bones plot of this movie
Oh, good. Get us
is
on track.
that Kathy Moriarty is willed a haunted mansion in which
Kathy
Casper
Moriarty's
lives.
Classic 90s female villain.
Yep. So she's willed this mansion. Casper lives there along with 3 other ghosts who are super duper evil, even though we don't really see it. They scare people off, even though they just mostly do goofy shit.
They're actually kind of buddies with Bill Pullman by the end. Spoiler alert.
It just seems like comedy shenanigans.
I don't know
Very
what to
little
make of them at all, really. I don't know what to make of their intentions.
They're like
I don't
denizens
know what...
of Halloween Town, where they're not bad. They just, scaring people's fun.
They're
But they're evil. Apparently.
rambunctious pranksters, except when they're attempting to murder people, which also happens.
This movie has murder.
Several murders.
They really do feel separate from the movie Casper's in, but to be fair, they also feel separate from the movie Kathy Moriarty's in. It's just, it's very strange.
It's essentially
But anyway,
5 movies.
Kathy Moriarty hires Bill Pullman, who's kind of like a therapist for the dead,
But
who's
is
never
he?
seen a ghost before. He moves in there with this is a news reporter within the movie describing Christina Ricci's character, his loner daughter. And his loner daughter kind of forms a friendship / weird thing with Casper. And that's
Casper's
it. That's the
very
whole movie.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because Casper just wants friends.
There's a
does.
MacGuffin with maybe a treasure.
Oh,
but yeah.
gosh, there's the treasure.
Casper wants friends. Casper gets real weird with Christina Ricci,
Yeah.
immediately.
Before we see him, how old do you think Casper is? Before we see him here?
Conservatively, 8.
Yeah, I was thinking 7, so yeah, that's right there.
And the
Amy
movie
Brenneman
takes-
tells him at the very end that he's 12.
the movie takes him 12.
Which
but-
I'm like, oh, he's a pretty young 12. And then we
Yeah.
see dreamy Tiger Beat
Yeah.
Casper, and I'm like, oh, he's 14.
He's a little boy, and he's super horny right out of the gate.
Yeah, oh man.
And Casper has consent issues. He doesn't appreciate...
It's real. It's problematic.
He's still playing with trains, and yet he is ready to go to the Bone Zone with Wednesday Addams. Just, ugh.
Yep,
we
yep.
were all ready to go to the Bone Zone with Wednesday Addams in the
course were.
mid-90s. Of course we were. Of course. She was a child. We, of course, would not. But we were children, too, so...
I mean, yeah, it was okay then.
Yeah, I'm not going to touch that one. Anyway, Loren wants to fuck a minor. That's fine.
I don't now. When I
Yeah.
was a tween.
Now, Bobby, it's not fair. She's no longer a minor. You're twisting her words.
Yeah, boy. Okay, so where do we start?
I don't know if this will be as fun since you admit to poorness in the beginning. It'll be so much less enjoyable to
Well,
attack you.
let's start with the things that emphatically do not work. Okay. I think the biggest thing that does not work for me at all are Catherine Moriarty and Eric Idle's characters, who
Which
I
makes
feel
me
like
so sad.
Yep, criminally misused.
Yes.
misused. Their characters are I think this movie gets kind of dark, but they're a little too dark for the movie, I think.
They're also broadly cartoonish.
They are.
They were a bigger
And
cartoon
they're also-
before Kathy Moriarty became a ghost and therefore a cartoon.
They're also so much at the fringes of everything that's going on. They just kind of kick the ball and get it rolling at the beginning and then disappear for the rest of the movie.
There's so much plot here that is not necessary. We don't
Yeah.
need all of this.
Loren kept pointing out, when they were snooping around the house, like looking for this thing. She's like, you own this house. Why are you snooping around like this?
Because she inherited the house and they find something that suggests there's treasure in the house. The mean ghosts are in the house, so she can't get to the treasure. That makes sense. But then they get the ghosts out, and then she spends the whole time sneaking and like, how are we going to get into this vault? Okay, I'm going to kill myself so I can be a ghost and go through the wall.
No,
even though
no hesitation about it.
This is your
either.
home. You own this property.
Also, God. There's a part at the end. It's so easy to just completely write them out of the movie, right? Like you don't need some heiress to send Bill Pullman to a mansion. And
I'd say you're wasting time.
Yeah.
This, could be.
And then at the end when they show up, you're doubling the stakes because there's already big stakes. At this point, I mean, obviously we're going full spoilers for this movie that came out in like 1995, but like Bill Pullman's dead at the end. And that's like that's as high as you can go with the stakes. And at the same time, it's like you have Catherine Moriarty and Eric Idle kind of like bumbling around, but also like threatening to kill people and trying to get treasure. And I'm like, what are you doing here? And
I mean, in fairness with the stakes, Kathy Moriarty did overhear that this thing will bring people back from the dead. This 80-some-odd-year-old invention that's been lingering in a basement for how many years? She's like, oh, it'll bring people back from the dead? Then I'm going to kill myself so I can access a treasure and then trust this will bring me back.
Because
also, she's holding something that literally can bring people back to life, and she's worried about some obscure treasure that's hidden in the mansion. Like, they're arguing over, like, who to kill, and I'm like, take your magic potion to like a laboratory and try to duplicate it and become like trillionaires,
Hey,
like what are you
plot.
doing?
Refresh my memory.
That's a good climax. Defeat that horrible person who's going to use that for evil. That's a good idea.
Refresh my memory. How does she, like, what is the reveal of the not what the treasure is, but how does she find out about the treasure and therefore start looking for it?
It was written on invisible ink on
That's
the
right.
will papers that she thrust into the fire because she only got some creepy Gaudi-esque house in Maine, and then the fire revealed the secret letters with some treasure poem.
Yeah, that's right.
Sure.
Eric Idle comically almost burns his hands off trying to get it also.
Oh, golly, the comedy in this movie.
I mean, I know I'm going to jump all over the place because it's just going to be what I happen to see in my notes. But why would you name a character that every time you say his name, it sounds like Kathy Moriarty is just calling things? Like, dibs. That's my lamp over there.
Don't you touch
it
my
is such like a
electric chair.
belittling, dehumanizing name, like dibs.
Every time she hits
It
dibs.
just conjures up such a gross image. You're like, ugh, this guy crawling at her feet.
Yeah.
But like again, they have a combined like 8 minutes of screen time, maybe at most.
Is that all? It felt like an eternity of them shenanigans around the place and being weirdly physically inappropriate with Christina Ricci and acting like not people.
Yeah.
Also, like, surprise. I mean, Catherine Moriarty like dies a pretty like sudden death. You're like, oh shit! Like she falls off a cliff. You're like, oh okay, wow, the movie's doing this. And then like, by the time like Eric Idle flies out a window, I'm assuming to his death. There are so many like cartoon rules about like what kills a person and what doesn't. Like we see moments before Catherine Moriarty like flying out a window, and then like she's fine. Like she has, I assume she flew out a window, landed on her feet like a cat, and then like ran to her car and turned it on. But like here's Eric Idle's demise, which is just flying out a window in a similar manner.
Got another question. Bill Pullman, you said described him as a like therapist to the dead. He is on hard copy. A major
A legitimate news magazine television show.
a major syndicated news magazine show, and he's never even seen a ghost. Like
He's never seen a ghost.
he doesn't even. He had questions. He doubted that they were real.
Yes, I think you're pointing to the point where he sees Casper.
Yeah.
Because, fair enough, like, whatever experience he's had that makes him think that he is successfully doing this is certainly questionable. He's never physically seen a ghost, but you think if he's a genuine person that believes in ghosts, his reaction to finally seeing one, who seems a very personable, charming young man, would not be screaming and running away aggressively.
Because he's not a con man. If he were a con man and doing this thing...
It's a real bad character choice in a movie with so many worse sins, but still, it made me mad.
Yeah.
This is... Okay, I'll give the movie this benefit of the doubt. Bill Pullman thinks he's been communing with the dead. He has not. He finally like sees a ghost. I was listening for it when I was watching it. He doesn't tell the Christina Ricci character. He doesn't tell her, "I don't believe you." He's just more like, "Hey, don't worry. Ghosts aren't scary. Ghosts aren't harmful. You're good." Like they just they just have unfinished business. They want to talk to you. And then when he sees Casper, like, maybe his worldview is just totally shook. He's like, "Oh shit! Like this is what a ghost looks like. I've been wrong. I haven't been talking to ghosts. This is a ghost.
This is not what I expected. Weird and cartoony. This is weird."
Oh shoot!
I want to rewind to hard copy though. So hard copy is doing a story on him with which they have full access to him. He's in, like consenting to an interview and everything. He's like totally in on it. And then they like follow and harass his daughter on her way to school. Like they're like, hey, is your dad a fraud? And Kat's just like, get the fuck out of here. Like what's happening? It's so strange. Like what?
Yeah, that was it was a weird choice to go all hardcore news journalist on this story.
I don't remember hard copy well enough. I remember it being on TV, but was it sensationalist?
Yeah.
Okay. So they would absolutely do a paranormal psychiatrist as a news piece.
I could see that. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. All right. What was Current Affair about?
Same. This has been our mini-sode of 90s news magazine shows.
On right before, on during dinner, and you don't control the remote. So this is what we do.
The cameos. When the three ghosts go into Bill Pullman, and then you see just a cavalcade of horrible people inhabit his face. Clint Eastwood, Rodney Dangerfield, and Mel Gibson.
Yep.
Actually, it's sad because Rodney Dangerfield is the least offensive of them. Are these meant to be what these people look like in real life? I asked that to Loren. She said no, but that they're just manipulating his face somehow for some reason.
I agree.
Oh my god, why?
A weird talent that never comes back at any point in the movie. The rules of the ghost, as you say, are insane. The things the ghost could do were so inconsistent.
That's what I was gonna say. What are the powers and the limitations of a ghost?
And that they could, go into a person's body through the mouth, like divers, and then somehow make his face morph into other people who seem corporeal. But that's a talent that doesn't exhibit itself in any way later. They can't, turn other things manipulate other objects. They were real confusing.
It was very confusing.
There were so many shenanigans.
They had to have food, and yet the food went right through them.
They demanded eating.
I get the sense that they don't have to have food.
Okay.
They're just the kind of assholes who want to have food.
Okay, that's fair. I'll grant you that one.
The funniest part for me, as far as like what are these ghosts even anyway, was there's a part where they like grab swords and like try to murder Bill Pullman.
Oh, you mean umbrellas?
And he emerges from his like closet, which have swords sticking in them, by the way. Like he could just pull a sword out. He emerges from the closet with a plunger, as if he knows exactly what this plunger is going to be used for. And then like the plunger works on the ghost. He's able to like suck one of the ghost's like face, and it's just really, really strange.
Yeah.
They appear to be selectively solid and then selectively pass-throughable, and they seem to be able to control it. So it feels like never should I ever be able to do anything to these ghosts.
Yeah. Sometimes you're putting your hand right through them, and sometimes you're fluffing them like a pillow. Like,
Yeah.
Really hard. You know how like you're trying to meet a new girl, and so you sneak into her room and become her pillow.
God,
Yeah.
what a creeper.
It just dawned on me that I do actually have a Casper pillow.
That's funny.
Oh, is he a real creeper?
Oh yeah.
Does he not?
As I'm drifting off to sleep, I'll just hear, "Can I keep you?"
Wait, is Casper a sponsor of ours? Casper mattresses. That would be cool.
Does your pillow not realize that no means no? Because Casper the Friendly Ghost didn't soon
No, he
realize
does
that
not.
as he was dragging Christine toward a window to dangle her out by their feet.
Yeah. He crossed some lines. But things were different in the 40s or 50s, whenever he was
You
from.
could grab a woman that you liked and just carry her away, no problem. No matter how many times she screams no, don't, please, no.
I know this is going to be hard to believe, but the inconsistencies we talked about earlier were not the only inconsistencies in the movie. For example, the rules on once you become a ghost and the whole unfinished business seem really murky. Like,
Yeah.
Kathy Moriarty, just because she said, I have unfinished business. Apparently that's you don't even have to, it's not a question if you have it, you just have to say, no, I don't have any unfinished business, so you got taken to the afterlife.
She meant it truly in her heart.
She had to get
Even
that
though I don't
treasure.
believe that for a second, because it seems like she had unfinished business.
Yeah. I feel like getting that treasure was big unfinished business.
And she's all done.
Yeah. What is Casper's unfinished business?
Well, so I posited, and I hated giving the movie any kind of credit for actual thought or consideration. But since when you become a ghost, you forget about your life, I think Casper stuck around for his father, who he didn't want to be alone. But
He
then
says
when
it
his
out loud.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He says it out loud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But okay, well, I guess my question would be, why is he still?
Well,
around?
I think he forgot
Okay.
why he stayed. And so when his father died, he just sort of forgotten
Okay.
that he had business and that the business was done. So he just stuck around because he didn't know what to do with himself. And I think they forget how to pass over.
Okay, this brings me to a second question, which is the memory thing. It seemed to happen real quick with both Bill Pullman. Kathy Moriarty, not affected. She knew exactly who she was and what she wanted.
Well, if you die while you're intoxicated, it amplifies the intoxication.
Yeah, that's going to take days to come down.
That's Ghost 101.
You know what?
It either takes days of recuperation or a single pinky promise from your daughter.
You know what? I apologize. 10 out of 10.
I'm going to stop shitting on it for a second. Things I liked about the movie.
Please.
Yeah.
I really liked...
This is the part people fast forward through, by the way.
Even though we talked about its problematic nature, I kind of like the friendship between Casper and Kat, and I kind of like how the movie takes the premise, which is here's a very friendly ghost, and like decides to lean really hard into the tragedy of being like a little boy friendly ghost and like how lonely it is and like the sadness that's built into it. And so I think like when it does have those really like tender moments between Kat and Casper, I'm kind of invested. Like I kind of think it's an interesting way to go for that movie, and I wish the movie had just leaned into that more. And I know when I was a kid, I actually didn't really like the three, goofy ghosts, but I did really like respond to Casper and Casper's story and everything.
Yeah, that part's really sweet. And if that was, you're right, if that was the story, if it was actually a movie about Casper, that would have been fun. And we were sort of opining what it could be, but also if it were just about friendship, like he's a little boy that's been alone for so long and now he's got a friend and he like doesn't quite know how to be an appropriate friend. He could follow her to school and kind of get clingy and weird and not like her meeting other people, and he'd have to learn how to be a good, healthy friend. Like that could be a great story. When it's that he's in love with her and he's a dead boy that's never going to get experience anything in his life, it makes it so much more sad in a way I don't want.
It's tragic.
It's so sad.
Because at the root of it, Casper, even though he's constantly just being like weirdly horny for this like tween girl, like the root of like why that's so sad is because he's clearly missing being a normal kid. Like he's missing doing normal kid stuff. He's jealous that he can't be one of Kat's normal friends because he's got no body, like it's that's all very sad. That's all very interesting. And Casper is like very endearing in that sense. I think like I enjoy watching Casper. Like I'm rooting for Casper. He just feels like a third of the movie that is that has his name. It's very weird.
I will agree. Like when he's being 7-year-old lonely Casper, he's great. When he's being 14-year-old horny little boy, then it's you lose me.
It's just a touch of tragedy too far. Like it was sad enough before, and now you've just made like that's so awful.
It's too real. It's too
Except not, because it's not a real
I
thing.
love this scene where Kat redoes his room, like cleans up his room, and then Casper like starts remembering everything, and then he like tells the story of how he died, which feels like it should be too dark for a kids movie, but I think in the way it's presented here, it's actually done fairly well. Like it is just kind of it's a sad story, but it's not like a tragic scarring story like that I think kids would freak out and cry over.
Yeah. It's one of those moments that, for young children could actually be teachable. Like, it's not scary. Right. It's just, it's kind of sad, but it's fine. And that is actually a part I remembered very well. I forgot most of the movie, but, like, that damn sad sled story, like, stuck in my brain forever.
I think, though, leaning into that, the biggest flaw of the movie, and it feels like something that I think might have been, like, rewritten, because it feels like that movie's leaning up. There's so much talk about unfinished business and how important unfinished business is to ghosts, and that's their whole thing. And like we learn what Casper's unfinished business is, kind of, but like Casper, it feels like that the natural endpoint to that story is Casper figuring out what his unfinished business really is and then crossing over into whatever is better.
Yes.
And instead he's doomed to be
sequel? Bobby, think it through.
Do they?
How are you gonna have?
Oh yeah, they built like a whole like straight to video franchise out of this.
And I could actually see that being the argument too. Is like, no, we're not gonna kill him off,
Right? Because there's no other way to like. Then it's like character death. Even though Casper's already dead, it's like Casper dies at the end, and that's scary.
Oh, that'd be a good name for a movie.
Whatever the fuck the last 5 minutes of this movie is, though, is like just insane. Yeah. Like the movie just kind of stops. It's very weird.
Yeah. It was
so anyway, I guess Casper just lives in Whipstaff Manor forever, and then
watches
something
die over time.
Okay, and another question. So he casually mentions, I was way into Casper merch too, and I had just accepted that Fatso, Stinky, and Stretch are Casper's uncles. Are they his uncles, or are they like his uncles? Like, are they just these random ass ghosts who also share a house with him?
What a good question.
The fact that he doesn't have the memory could certainly lend itself to just that. Just like, I guess you're my uncle. I don't know. And
that's a great question and ties into a lot of the lack of explanation for things in this film.
Yeah. They have beds that have carved into them the names Fatso, Stinky, and Stretch.
Why would that be the case?
So
is that their human names?
I don't know.
Hope not.
Casper grew up and lived in Whipstaff Manor, so does that mean Fatso, Stinky, and Stretch also lived in Whipstaff Manor? I'm willing to accept that they're just these like vagabond ghosts who kind of wandered into the manor and took over, and Casper's this little kid who's super lonely and just wants company.
Right, and I prefer that plan. They just sort of.
But why do they have fucking beds in the manor then?
Did they commission those? They went and haunted some woodmaker until he brought them little dwarf beds.
These are really excellent questions.
It's terrible.
And then, ghosts do sleep, right? Because at the beginning, Casper's really afraid about waking his uncles. So
they've got bed. Yeah, wow.
Their lives are very confusing. Their deaths are very confusing.
Yeah.
And then,
so if you're like a newly single dad of a 13-year-old girl,
which I am,
Are you cool with your daughter sharing a room with a 12-year-old ghost?
Well, what's he gonna do? We've already established in this movie that Christina Ricci's a virgin, thank goodness.
Oh my god!
He could still He can still finger blast her.
That's awful.
I don't know.
Oh my god!
But you're right. If he can make himself solid.
Yeah.
I don't like any of this talk. You shut your mouth. You go away.
Hey,
now.
Casper, why do your fingers smell like fish?
Yuck.
Stop.
He's a little boy. You're the worst. Oh, that's terrible.
I'm sad. So at the end, Casper is made human for a short time.
Yeah.
And he dances with Kat at the dance. They float in the air. They have whatever. Like they have like a very sweet kiss, and then he turns back into the ghost. And I really wish we had just gotten like a wider shot of the two of them kissing, because I think Christina Ricci like making out with like little boy Casper Ghost would have been very, very funny to see.
No, it was very uncomfortable. Just watching her and Devon Sawa, dreamy little teen bop boy, do it was like, oh, you're children. I don't like it. Teens kissing is so awkward. Wait till you're in high school.
The weird thing about it is Christina Ricci like never returns that affection or seems like she's interested at all in the ghost. Like throughout the entire movie.
She doesn't care about the ghost. She likes the hot boy.
He did not realize how friend-zoned he was.
Exactly. He's like, wait, you're hot now. Okay.
But there's never even like a mention or a hint of like, I know she says it as she's falling asleep, but there's never a mention of like, would she like him at all?
To finger blast her.
You know, like would she be interested in Casper if he were a real boy?
Uh-huh.
Like we don't really get that sense at all from Kat. It's just, I don't know. It's very weird.
Yeah, the friendship seems very chaste and, just entirely platonic on her part, despite how horny he is for her. And so it's weird that the achievement of the movie is that he gets to kiss a girl and then he's dead forever again.
Hey.
But...
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was kind of going to change the subject. I was going to bring up that weird Carrie B plot of the
B is generous.
Yeah.
D, E, F.
The schoolmate who gets her boyfriend to ask Wednesday Addams out, Kat, to ask Kat out, and then as like a trick, but then like nothing really happens.
The requisite super mean girl on day one.
It's like really hard for her at school, Yeah. She's a loner. She's Bill Pullman's loner daughter. Yeah. Always, wherever she goes.
They live in the weird house. We can just tell by looking at you. You're weird.
But it was such a...
It's also super weird that like a vote gets called on putting a party in her house without her ever saying like, yeah, it's totally cool.
In one classroom.
Yeah, one classroom decides the whole school's dance future.
And so
that teacher is weird.
He's a terrible teacher.
He has lost control of his classroom.
He does nothing.
Absolutely.
He says, come on up, Christina Ricci, and make a speech on your very first day. That's not scary. And he lets that classroom pick on her and belittle her. And he just sort of
He's totally the teacher at the dance who gets like way too wrapped up in like the gossip and drama of his classroom. And it's just like, oh my God, I can't believe she did that, Just like being really inappropriate about, catty shit.
Yeah, he's supposed to be the authority figure. That classroom was like Showtime at the Apollo. Like, they were just like crapping all over her. He should have had the hook and like took her off stage.
It was a real roast on the new girl. Yeah. In that arbitrary, the way all young children do when they meet a new person is just shit on them.
Famously.
Mm-hmm.
And when the second she goes back to school after this movie's done, she's like a weird ass. She's ghost kissing girl. Like she's like some weird ass pariah. She lives in the haunted house and like fucks ghosts. Like that's all anyone's gonna say.
Yeah.
I kind of hated that too. Like, why couldn't the end of the movie be, oh my gosh, it's a ghost? That's okay. That's kind of cool. And then like everyone stays and has fun, and now Casper's surrounded by people, and life is good again. Like
that's so much of a better ending. I like.
So much better.
Yeah. I got like. My heart soared a little bit. I'm like, that's a wonderful ending.
There are 20
Casper
movies.
finds the acceptance.
So there are 20 different movies that do parts of this movie so much better. Of the mash of whatever this film is.
Yeah.
Like, last night I was like, can we just watch Who Framed Roger Rabbit that did this whole interacting with cartoon characters perfectly?
Yeah.
This is unbearable. Can we please watch Beetlejuice about a young girl in a house? That's much better. Let's do Hunchback and say he has friends at the end. Way better.
Addams Family. I mean, it's right there. It's a Christina Ricci joint. It's a weird, twisted house.
I mean, that's absolutely what this movie was banking on.
It was going for that, yeah.
Like,
That's why Christina Ricci is in this movie.
100%.
I don't think a movie has done like the Casper cat relationship or like the idea of like a sweet dead kid who's like just kind of like hanging around a haunted house and everyone's afraid of like it's done in a very unique way in Casper. It's not put into a cohesive whole at all, but like I don't know that another movie has done like the sled scene in the way that Casper did it.
I will say this too, just to give the movie a little bit of credit. I thought the ghosts looked cool. I mean, they didn't look like real ghosts or anything, but but you're also going through, you're taking it from this cartoon and you want it to resemble that. And I thought, they looked cool. They actually kind of did feel like they fit in the environment. It wasn't the best interacting with them, especially the end with Bill Pullman, having them, like having him, their head in his shoulders, that big group hug thing.
Yeah.
That didn't look good. But otherwise, I
don't think, for a 20-year-old movie, I don't think any of the special effects have aged, like, super poorly. Like, they definitely look older, but they don't look
I'll agree
embarrassing.
Yeah, I agree. The thing that felt the most jarring to me was the super soundstage of the house and yard around. Just felt like the wall stops right there. I can see clearly. Like that for some reason felt very weird. Like, I don't think even anyone was doing that in the mid-90s to this egregious of a level. This just feels
you know what?
a 50s.
There is a shot, like, I think the first shot we see of the manor looks real bad. Like, it looks real fake from outside. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, even though it looks very soundstagey, there's something, we talked about it a little bit in our Popeye episode, and I'm certainly not trying to compare the level of set design to Popeye, but, like, there's something very, like, big and tangible about the sets here that I just don't think you see anymore. Like, when you go into the big, like, foyer of the mansion, it looks like a real thing. Mm-hmm. Like when they're dicking around with the Lazarus machine at the end and the father's lab, that looks like a real place. Like his Disney ride of like a like the thing that they ride to get down to the lab looks cool. Like that's something as a kid you look at and you're like, wow, I want to ride that. And
I would agree with all that. And I've got nothing against your sound stages, but sometimes
the exterior was what made me feel the most uncomfortable.
That's fair.
The inside of the house
definitely
was striking, and I agree. I liked the reality of it. The foyer is a nightmare room with your like blood spatter walls, and the house. I appreciate what they were going for. Part of the production design was wanting to do something a little different, wanting not just to do your classic Victorian house that, Ghost rambles around in. And the production designer smoked a lot of pot and went just full Gaudi-esque with his building, like absolutely basing it on the crazy designs of Gaudi in Spain. And it looks cool and reads really well, but also it's so crazy that it requires an explanation, which the film does not feel the need to give us.
That needed to be like H.R. Giger's
it's the spooky house with the ghost in it, and we all know about the ghost. It really should be, you've just inherited a nightmare house that was run by a crazy scientist. We find out over halfway through the movie at some point that Casper's dad was a super scientist who figured out how to resurrect people. Drop that earlier on. Just plant it in the beginning.
That could be part of your backstory that sends Bill Pullman to the crazy haunted like inventor house. Yeah. Cut Kathy Moriarty and Eric Idle right out of this movie.
Guys, give us this movie. We'll write a script for you. Yeah. It'll make sense.
He's a parasite.
I had like an honest thought. Rewatching this, I'm like, I'll rewrite the screenplay. Like, I'll do it. But I'm like, no, what no one's clamoring for? A Casper reboot.
I would watch that movie. Because you're right, the stuff that was good about this, I want to exist in a better film.
I think the seeds are there. Like, there's definitely, like, something you could build an entirely successful movie on.
I agree.
It's just there's so much other stuff crammed into it, and none of it connects. And also, there's sort of no structure to this movie at all. The movie literally just ends with a bunch of kids screaming and running out, and like everyone basically just high-fiving, and then like Little Richard singing the Casper theme. Like, it's just so weird.
I mean, I believe it first ends with a DreamWorks-esque dance party with all the stinker ghosts playing a little song for us.
Yeah, that's right.
And then we go to credits.
That song. Yeah.
And then Casper immediately goes from like cute Tiger Beat boyfriend to like little child ghost again, where Christina Ricci's like, let's have fun, Casper, I'll throw you up in the air. Like, it's...
Yeah, this is all fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. He's fine.
We're not gonna talk about it, right? Like, we're fine. It's cool if we share a room still.
No, get your own.
Can I keep you?
This room is beautiful.
Can I keep you, bothered me?
Oh, Kenny Keefy was kind of cute to me. I kind of remember that as well. It was a little bit sweet. It was a little bit like, that was a moment of like chaste little boy crush. That was like, oh, that's cute.
But after all the other stuff.
Yeah, it's all the other stuff. If it was like in a vacuum and Casper was just like making a friend and we didn't like see him manipulating events to get her there, essentially just putting into starting the events that lead to the demise of at least two people,
His powers
Casper doesn't
awesome.
intervene. Kathy Moriarty and Eric Idle are still alive.
His powers are awesome and frightening, and heaven forbid he ever figure out what he could do with those things. He could change the world. He could swing elections. I was deeply disappointed in the credits to see that the two credited writers are both women. And then I had to look who they were, and I was extra disappointed to see, oh, I know these people. Those names are familiar because they are two women who wrote for Animaniacs and Tiny Toons and many other animated features. One of the writers is Slappy Squirrel from Animaniacs. And so it made me extremely sad because those are all deeply successful shows that are running and brilliant. And it also made a kind of sense because the gags in the movie, then I realized, oh my gosh, these are so... those type of like Warner Brothers-esque gags just done really badly. All of them felt like something I would have written at 13 as just like, yes, this is the rational joke that would go here. Ha I'm brilliant. And
how about a California roll?
Oh yeah. And like I could see it
He's
slightly
basically
funnier
saddled. Bill Pullman's basically like Dr. Scratch and Sniff giving therapy to like really, really poor versions of Yakko, Wacko, and Dot. That is the dynamic they were going for, and boy, it did not work.
You have a thing for Dr. Scratch and Sniff?
Well, he was played by Rob Paulson, so yes, of course.
Okay.
I played Dr. Scratch and Sniff twice in elementary school talent shows.
That's fun.
It's pretty.
Really?
It's pretty.
How? Wait, tell me what. What'd you do?
We did. No, I didn't do the voice. I did a lip sync routine to "I'm Mad."
Twice?
In 2 different grades.
In two different talent shows, did you do that?
Yeah, I did it like once in 2nd grade and like once in 4th grade.
Back by popular demand.
Yeah.
I
switched schools, so no one knew. No one had
okay.
seen it before.
Okay, that was gonna be my question. Like, did you bring the same cast with you? How clever to sneak that into the new school, guys! I got a cool idea. What's
As Animaniacs is coming back. Did you know that?
What?
Sounds familiar.
Animaniacs is coming back next month.
I don't like it.
By Hulu.
Is it gonna be good? I don't
know. They released an image, and it was the Warner siblings hanging from the Hulu sign.
Were they redesigned?
No, they look the exact same.
Really? Okay, that's good. Because I was worried it would be like every Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle reboot that has to make them look different. So we're going to talk about TMNT now?
Completely the same.
All right.
What year did Nothing But Trouble come out?
No. Oh, don't talk about this movie.
Because in the dance scene, there is a Digital Underground song that plays.
Nerd.
What has it been all around the world? Same song, which is also featured in Bringing Back Dan Aykroyd, Nothing But Trouble.
Stop it. I hate any time we talk about that nightmare movie. I just want to pretend it did not happen. That was
Loren,
a dream I had.
It happened.
Oh, I hate it.
And it is such... Like, honestly, though, do we know what year that came out? I mean, the world might know, but I don't know offhand. I don't know where my phone is.
I am the IMDb, you to me,
That's
BB.
right. Because that is a really unfortunate movie to recall.
To be fair, did anyone see Nothing But Trouble?
91.
Okay, so
damn it,
yeah.
Bobby. It's my job.
So it was definitely... I wonder if that was part of Dan Aykroyd's...
He's trying to reclaim it.
His cameo things like, okay, but you know what? You gotta do another reference to Nothing But Trouble. You gotta do it. No, they actually, he probably kind of came in, he wanted to... He's like, oh, you want me to do a cameo? I'm gonna do that guy from Nothing But Trouble. And they're like,
Stop it.
We want you to be Ray Stantz. He's like, okay, fine, but there's gotta be some sort of Nothing But Trouble reference in there. I'm assuming that's how it went.
You knew all the lyrics. You were singing along with it.
It's a good song.
You love Nothing But Trouble, apparently.
I like Digital Underground.
I'm like joking even about it.
That's where Tupac came from.
No one watched Nothing But Trouble. Don't hurt yourself that way.
Anyway,
It qualifies as self-harm.
yeah. You're saying? I thought you were saying nobody has seen Nothing But Trouble. You're saying nobody watch Nothing
Both.
But Trouble. Do not watch.
Don't do it.
This is our public service announcement.
Protect yourself.
Yeah. Okay. Now I feel like I've served my community service by saying not to watch Nothing But Trouble. What else have we got to say, guys?
This is I didn't know where to fit this earlier, but it's truly insane to know that the Fatso, Stinky, and Stretch actually did know the mother and pulled strings to have her come there.
The rules keep changing, man. Apparently ghosts can talk to the spirits of people who have passed on successfully, I guess. And they'll come flying in like a good blue fairy, flapping her wings or arms.
And they look human? Do you think that... Oh, man, I don't know. So when you're a ghost, you're relegated to look like this horrible cartoon thing, but then when you actually die, then you get your old body back?
Sure.
Man.
And you come back just to give your husband
So, like, ghosts turn into angels or whatever?
I guess so, yeah.
No, she was just flapping her arms as if they were wings. Just kind of doing, like, big arms here for no good reason.
Was she?
In her red dress. Oh, yes, she was.
She was doing,
Oh, man. Doing flappy Jesus arms.
That's funny.
If you can imagine Jesus flapping.
Amy Brenneman felt like she was in yet another movie, but I think like her movie is closer to the movie I wanted to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're still like, stupid movie, I'm so mad at you. Oh my gosh, his wife's back, and it's kind of sad. I can't help but feel something. Poor Bill Pullman. And then she comes back to advise him not to let his daughter put a shirt on underneath her bathing suit. What? Was that like a private joke between them? Was that who would even think about such a thing? It wasn't played as a joke. It was played as legitimate, like, don't do it. Don't make her do it. Don't be a bad dad.
It feels like there were more legitimate gripes she could have had with his parent. You know. Especially overparenting. Like, there's plenty of ways you can go that aren't wearing a t-shirt under your bathing suit.
They could have had a journey. It could have been a father-daughter, you know, I don't get you, Dad, and we're kind of estranged, and they come together. They could have had an arc. They did not. The arc was, I'm dead, and now I'm alive again 2 seconds later. There were so many things that could have happened in this movie.
I mean, it sets it up at the beginning, and then they just kind of don't. Well, they touch it as a joke, like midway through the movie, and then she comes in at the end, and it's like, this is a thing that could have worked really successfully in this movie had there been any time spent with it. I think it feels like this movie got chopped up. You know, like it feels like things got cut out of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like when you're talking about Animaniacs writers writing it, I'm like, oh, I see it, because there are good ideas in this script, but it feels like other people could have done passes on this script and
Well, if we want to dip into trivia a bit, and this leads to another point, there's an uncredited... J.J. Abrams did an uncredited pass on the script, and Steven Spielberg is a producer. So between those boys, there totally should have been a strange father storyline.
Well, if J.J. Abrams did it, it makes sense that there's no ending to this movie.
Very
really
fair.
Damn it, that's funny. But where was the Cloverfield monster? I thought this was part of the Cloververse.
Oh my god, that would be amazing if they just re-released this movie and called it like Cloverfield Casper, Cloverfield Whipstaff.
So many lens flares.
I'm really glad that we're beyond the point where we need to have Ben Stein do a cameo in every movie. Just 'cause I don't like that the speechwriter for the president who issued in the most corrupt political culture in U.S. history that we're going through right now is still getting paychecks from these things.
I don't like knowing that fact.
Yeah.
I was fine in the 80s when Ben Stein was so funny, and then learning that about him later in life made me so sad.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
Yes, it is.
There was a thing about dyslexic Dalmatians early on. I remember that line. I think some.
I don't remember that.
I don't remember.
I know there was a closet case joke.
Oh gosh.
Because it was the 90s. We're not allowed to say the F-A-G word anymore, but we can still make those jokes.
There's a terrible, like, corny joke that I missed the first dozen times I watched this movie, but only caught this time now that I had subtitles on, which is the hard copy person goes, this week they're in Santa Fe. Next week, Boo knows. She says boo. And I saw the subtitle and went, excuse me, and then I rewound it. She most certainly says boo knows.
Oh, man.
There were a few lines that I actually liked.
That's pretty good.
And I don't remember the context, but Kathy Moriarty at some point says, "You're sweaty male construction types, for Christ's sake." Which I really like that.
Christ?
Yes, she did.
There are a few other surprise salty language drops in what surely was going for a PG movie, and then, wait, what? What did you just say?
There was also a line, "Do not think I'm as crazy as I thought you were." That's... Bill Pullman, I think, says that to his daughter, which is, it's a funny line.
Bill Pullman is a rock star. He came in and took this piece of movie and did his darndest.
Yeah,
Hell yeah, he did.
He is an underappreciated Bill of the 90s. He's not just our Ralph Bellamy type coming in to be dumped by Meg Ryan. He is a sexy Lone Star.
He is trying to save the movie. And
Bill Pullman performing his speech in Independence Day the way he did is the only reason anyone still talks about Independence Day.
With all the confidence of a 90s America and a blissful time of peace.
I just wanted to share the Pat's Corner real quick, was when when they made the California roll, when somebody was like in the carpet on the stairs, and somebody's like, one of the stupid ghosts says like, "Did someone order a California roll?" My mom just goes, "Oh my God."
Correct answer.
Because the 90s, we just learned about sushi. It was rife for comedy.
I was shocked when Eric Idle at the end, he's going off on Kerrigan, and he talks about getting a dog, and goes, "And I'll name her Kerrigan. She'll be a bitch just like you." I was like, holy shit.
I hope Eric bought a really nice summer house with his paycheck. And, like, they're dynamic. Again, Adam's Family did it better. Why are they together? Who is he to her? Why does this make sense?
Remember when Casper
turned them right out of the movie.
When Casper turned into an egg?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That was disturbing.
Why did this happen?
It's also got to be really traumatic because that poor boy thought he was about to become alive again, and instead he turned into an egg.
I'm so mad by the Lazarus Machine plot. Like, that part was just so preposterous and angry-making. And let's focus on the fact that you have a life serum. There have to be notes somewhere in here. No one can have this. Let's burn down the lab. No, it's just casually a super powerful thing we have in the basement with no consequences.
You know what's a very tragic thing that is like only inferred in the or implied in the margins of this movie is that Casper's crazy inventor father invented a life machine, invented a serum, was ostensibly just about to bring his son back to life, and then got hauled off to an insane asylum before he could pull the lever. That's very, very sad. That's something to dwell on for like half a goddamn second.
That is crushing.
That feels like some sort of backstory they could have presented early in the film so that we'd actually have some suspense about this house, and then learning that it actually has an emotional core would make us like have a reaction.
Yeah. Casper waiting around to be brought back to life maybe also explains why, maybe he's still in the mansion,
Oh my gosh. I hate it.
It writes itself. It's all there. It's there. Yeah. The foundation for a good movie is there.
Yeah. What a disappointment.
I know.
Any other things to say? So we didn't love this movie.
Oh, it was real hard to watch.
Any other?
I'm going to say I didn't have a hard time watching it, though. I enjoyed it. There was the crushing of there's the crushingness of watching a movie you were obsessed with as a child and realizing it's bad, but the stuff that was bad I just kind of chuckled at, oh, this is pretty bad, and the stuff that was good I still responded to. I was still had a good time watching it.
Oh, well, that's good. I'm really glad you did.
We don't want to take anything away from anybody.
No,
we're
never.
just here to have fun.
It's bad. It's a bad movie. I'm definitely not advocating for anyone to run out and watch Casper or anything. No. I did order a used copy of the children's novelization of the movie today because I wanted to get the nostalgia high off of reading that will give me.
Oh, and apparently there are some missing parts filled in the novelization, so you'll get some of the backstory we've been complaining about being cut out.
You might have to come back on the
yeah,
you're part of the podcast, but you might have to come back on and tell us.
I do remember there's a joke I was very fond of where Bill Pullman is going over stages of grief for ghosts or whatever, and then one of them is denial, and Fatso says, "Denial, that's in Egypt."
Oh,
and little child Bobby thought that was a hilarious joke.
Yes, because the jokes are rejected, rudimentary Tiny Toons jokes. that someone reasonably said no to in the room, and then they just recycled them here.
I'll show them. It'll get into a major motion picture. My joke will. All right, so the verdict's in. Not a great movie. Loren, do you want to...
Wow.
Do you want to...
Sam! That's me doing my Loren.
IDOBM presents IMDb trivia. I forget what it's called.
Well,
we don't even have a theme song. Do your...
I hate...
There you go.
I hate to spoil it for you, but I've been sprinkling in some trivia throughout the show. You may have noticed.
Good for you.
Anytime I said something that felt like a fact, it's probably questionable because it was on IMDb trivia. But I told you about J.J. Abrams and his uncredited rewrite. Still didn't work. So the house that was used as Whipstaff Manor was also used to film scenes from the Backstreet Boys music video. That would be Everybody, parentheses, Backstreet's Back, close parentheses. Most notably, the ballroom dance sequence from this music video. I've never seen this video, but I kind of want to watch it just because we're right, that scary ballroom is exciting, and I kind of would like to see it in different media.
I have definitely seen that Backstreet Boys music video, but I don't remember any of it.
I wonder if they kept the terrifying red walls. There was a cut scene from the film with Zelda Rubinstein from Poltergeist shooting out of the chimney and shouting, "Go toward the light!" reprising her Poltergeist role, but it was cut foolishly. Why did they do it?
Wow.
Guys, we have one too many cameo.
This one was weird to me. It's tied to the trivia that during the breakfast scene, it was the first scene that was animated, so there's actually some issues with the ghost looking more solid when compared to the rest of the movie because they were still figuring out the design. But the addenda to this trivia is that the pancakes that Casper serves the Harveys were completely animated and not actually there on set. And those pancakes were in a lot of scenes. And I thought they looked a little weird. I never thought animated because that's a crazy thing to do. And it came back in several cuts.
That is weird.
It was very weird. And then just some of the most tempting is that the original director tied to this wanted a much darker deconstructionist exploration of Casper. I think he wanted to make the movie closer to what we are thinking. And that was obviously soundly rejected. But I would love to know what the dark movie that actually matches the crazy Nightmare Mansion.
Wow. That would be interesting to know.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, thank you, Loren.
It wasn't very much.
No, that's okay. Cool, you would sprinkle a lot of it in. So.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the movie we wish we'd seen.
Ugh, this movie is crap. I could write a better movie in my sleep.
And now, IDOBM presents the movie we'd wish we'd seen.
Let's take an aspect of this movie, and I'll go first because it's something I thought of while we were going through it. I'll take an aspect of the movie and see prequel, sequel, just something about it. And I want to see the situation when Casper and his dad were alive and the three uncles were living in the house. And I just want to see the shenanigans those guys got up to. Because I am saying that it is canon that those are his three uncles. And yeah, what happened? Maybe that was part of why the dad went to the insane asylum, because these bastard uncles. Yeah, that's all I've got.
100% Brad Garrett would come back for that movie.
He'll do anything.
Who else? Who wants to go next?
Okay, so in the bar, when they are doing drunk karaoke, there is another person in the bar. And he's just kind of hanging out in the back. I don't think he's the bartender. He's just another patron at the bar. He's reacting to their stories. He's crying when shit gets sad. And so we know the uncles kind of like go out and party every night. I imagine places that ghosts can party are very slim. So I bet you they go to this bar all the time. And this guy is a fixture at this bar. So I want to see a movie from that guy's point of view. I want to hear about his life, and I want, every night he's at the bar that these like 3 rambunctious ghosts show up and party. I'm sure he's friends with them. So I want to see just a movie about this bar and this one lone patron at this bar.
I love that. And I think you're right, because they establish in the movie that the 3 ghosts go out places and like get into shenanigans and go to a horse race and go to this bar. And it feels like either the story is they're going around and scaring people away from places, so everyone should absolutely know there are ghosts hanging around and you gotta be careful. Yeah. Or are they just, I love the idea of frequenting one place where they know they can get in.
Well, that made me think of another thing, which was, why does Casper stick around? They can clearly go places. Yeah. He goes through the TV line or whatever. He makes the TV move around Kathy Moriarty's hotel room. Like you said, they have a lot of power that they are just not exercising.
Well, Casper's also in a different movie, so different movies have different roles.
True. Forgot about that part. All right, Loren, what movie would you like to see?
Well, I think that this movie absolutely missed an opportunity. It's not so much the full movie, because I think we've established the many ways we could fix this script. But I think that they absolutely squandered the fact that they are brilliantly set in Maine, which is a beautiful and highly specialized characteristic. I can't believe we missed an opportunity where we just had some classic Mainers sitting on the porch going, "Oh yeah? Going up to the ghost house, oh yeah?" Like that, they've ruined their opportunity. Sometimes dead is better now.
They did have their requisite Stephen King reference.
Thank goodness. But that didn't even feel conscious. That didn't feel like, because it's Maine, we're in Maine. It felt like just
Scary
ghost
House,
reference.
Stephen King, yeah. So what's the movie?
There are going to be more Mainers.
Oh, yeah.
You know, he's sitting on the road now. Yeah. All right.
I like it. All right.
Iron Giant figured out how to have Mainers in it. Because Iron Giant is perfect.
Iron Giant's a great
This movie is not.
This is not a great movie. All right, cool. Well, let's move on from this movie and let's talk about things that need no defense. Just whatever we're into these days. Who wants to go first? Anyone?
I'll go first.
Okay.
In quarantine, I just been streaming a lot of shit because that's all anyone's doing.
Yeah. And
so I'm actually going to do 2 things. One of them is I'm going to give a hearty thumbs up to something on Quibi.
Oh my gosh.
Which is something that I'm sure will be disappearing very, very soon.
You're watching Quibi?
But there was there was a shot-for-shot celebrity remake of The Princess Bride that is charming as all get out, and I really, really enjoyed watching it.
That's fun.
It's really, really fun. Actors will change like within a scene. Sometimes, Nick Kroll will just play everyone in a scene, and it's really fun.
I haven't seen that one.
Sometimes it'll be like the accountants from The Office playing all the characters in a scene. It's great. Okay. It's really, really fun. And it ended on a note I wasn't expecting that legit made me cry. Really? So,
now
The Princess Bride.
Let's pretend I'm an old man and don't understand how technology works. How would I quibbly this? Is that the right verb, in fact?
I think you still get like a 1-week free trial to Quibi if you download the app.
Do it fast.
And that is more than enough to watch all of the episodes of the Princess Bride remake.
Okay, cool.
I've seen the clips that have released on YouTube, and you're right. It's magic. And I want to watch it.
Everyone gives it 100%.
Okay.
As they should. And I wish I had been asked.
Diego Luna and oh my God, what's his name?
Jack Black is in that scene, right?
Yes, but who's the other absolute perfect person who could play Inigo Montoya? The Mandalorian. What's his name?
Oh, does he?
Pedro Pascal. They both play Inigo Montoya.
Oh, now
beautiful.
I don't want a remake, but let's make a sequel.
Javier Bardem gets to play Inigo Montoya for a scene.
Well, that's fine.
It's good. It's great. It's good.
That's magic.
And did you see there was another thing?
Oh, yeah. The other thing actually really, really surprised me. I just binge-watched all of the Harley Quinn animated series, which is now streaming on HBO Max after, being on the DC Universe app. And that's a show, I think, the elevator pitch was, Batman the Animated Series, but for the Adult Swim crowd. But the writing and voice acting on that show are so, so sharp and so, so character-driven. And that show rocks. It's so much better than it has any right to be. And I really, really loved it. That's all.
Cool. I'll have to check that out. I'm going to throw one. This isn't one I was going to originally do, but now that you reminded me, and the fact that we so seldom do the podcast, I'm sure we haven't talked about it yet, is Birds of Prey, the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn. That was such a fun and good movie.
That was an amazing movie.
It was criminally underviewed. It underperformed at the box office. It's so fun. And
I will say, I love that movie. Everything that movie does well is what Harley Quinn does well, too. It's great.
Awesome.
Nice, I want to watch
Both
it.
of them are great.
That's
Cool.
Cool.
So what I was going to recommend, a few things, just I've been also streaming and watching a lot of things. I've been watching a lot of actually, to be cards on the table, I've been getting stoned and watching a lot of horror movies. And I watched one a few weeks ago that was House of the Devil, which is, I believe, from 2006, but it takes place in the 80s. It has to do with the big satanic panic during the 80s, and they make the movie look like it was produced in the 80s, and it was really strong, really suspenseful. Tom Noonan does a great, weird performance, as he always does. So that was one of the things I was going to recommend. Another one is, no one's going to have to help me out with pronunciation here. Rilakima and...
I was
stealing Laura's.
I wasn't, because you brought it to the table, so I didn't feel like I could take it. But like, if you didn't say it, I was going to say it. Rilakima and Karu.
Okay, then I'll let you have that one. I won't say anything about it.
Okay.
No, you can take it, because I'm also going to take the Midnight Gospel, which if you are...
Hi.
If you are high, it is really fun. It's also, the premise of it is this guy owns this machine that it's animated. The Pendleton Ward did it. He owns this machine that you can, what's the word? Like it creates. Why can't I think of the term? Huh?
Avatars?
No, like what the Matrix is. The simulated reality. It makes simulated realities, and he goes and visits them and interviews people who live in this reality, and like the actual people he interviews are like really kind of like Buddhist-y or what's the word, like new agey type people, but it's some really interesting conversations, and the animation is really interesting. It's it's always when this world is collapsing, and so there's crazy things you can watch, and then there's this really interesting heady stuff you can listen to, and it's a fun mix. And I think even if you're not stoned, it would still work, but if you're stoned, it totally works.
Where do you find it?
Oh, it is on Netflix.
We're sponsored by Quibi and Netflix this week.
Yeah, apparently. Unfortunately, I don't think Birds of Prey is streaming for free anywhere, so just wherever. Buy it. And that's what I will recommend. Loren?
Okay. Well, since you are not going to do it, but this is one Sam brought to the table and then shared it with me, and it changed our lives. But on Netflix also is a short series called Rilakima and Karu. It actually came out in 2019, and I feel deeply ashamed that we did not know about it until now. It is based on the kawaii Japanese characters Rilakima, who is this sweet little teddy bear, and then he's got some friends. There's Korilakima, who's another little teddy bear, and Kiritori, who is a little yellow bird, and they live with their friend Karu, who is a human person, and they're just, like Hello Kitty types. They're just slapped on a bunch of merchandise, but this series is a beautiful stop motion animation of their lives together in Japan, living in an apartment. It is heavily inspired by Wes Anderson, so everything is kind of these strikingly beautiful visuals of, the monotony of everyday life. And so it's this single woman living in the city, like having the existential crisis of her early 30s. Like the first episode is, I'm living with my teddy bear friends and we're making food and I'm going to work. And then the storyline is like, worried about how all my friends are leaving me behind and I'm alone in the world. Oh, hi, teddy bear friends. And like, it's deeply beautiful and like so lovely. And the bears are so cute. And then the storylines are so heartbreaking, and it's weird in an amazing way. But the weird stuff happens.
Yeah, but the heartbreakingness is, it's heartbreaking in the mundanity.
And just like the usual everyday sadness of life, of the day-to-day uncertainty and finding beauty in simple everyday things. And it's absolutely the show that 2020 needs, not the show it deserves.
Yeah, I've seen some.
I'm gonna as soon as we're done with this, I'm going to go look that up and watch that.
Please
You
do.
100% too.
And give it a minute, because my
Yes.
they're very short. They're only 11-minute episodes. And it's kind of weird. Like, they're purposefully doing something a little heightened. So, like, Karu kind of talks a little bit weird and not naturalistically. And the first episode, half the time I was like, okay, what's happening? And then by the end of it, like, I think my heart is dying in a beautiful way. And so give it a couple to get into the feel.
It's super lovely, and I'm a little bit shocked that it's not.
We should all
bigger.
be talking about
Yes.
it.
It's very sweet. Yeah, the critics have said it's the kawaii next to the mundane.
Yeah.
And that's very much what it is, but it's more...
And the fact that it's stop motion makes it all the more beautiful. If it was just animated, if it was something else, like, okay, that's nice. But the stop motion is just such painstaking care and love to every moment, and it's so beautiful.
Yeah, I think if being a Steven Universe fan, I think you'll like it, Bobby.
Yes.
All right. I'll check it out.
Cool. And I think that does it for all our segments. We did it, guys. We doubled our output from last year. Let's see if we could improve.
We gonna treble it?
Yeah, so, well, as always, thanks my intrepid co-host for being so intrepid. That's number one with the bullet.
Thanks, guys, for giving me a reason to put on a clean shirt.
I was trying to think of I had an outro that I wanted to unveil. Okay, I'm ready for it. All right, well, yeah. So join us here next time as we talk about another movie, perhaps. Any other last words anyone has to say? Oh, plugs. I forgot about plugs. That's a very important segment. Loren and I we mentioned this last time, we're in something called Sam Sleuth. Stereotypical
Oh my gosh, we have something to plug.
noir detective, which 2 episodes are out right now. The third one will drop, I'm hoping, within a week or so. And it's just a fun project. Loren and I working together. It's tongue-in-cheek. It's comedic, but...
It's our COVID project.
Yeah, it's our COVID project. But I think there's also going to be some intrigue, if you will.
Where can I find it?
If you Google... Sam Sleuth, stereotypical noir detective. It actually shows up pretty quickly. It's on YouTube.
It's like on the 4th page.
Yeah.
Is there a YouTube channel?
It is on YouTube. You can go to our Slingin' Tent YouTube channel.
How do you spell slinging? Is there a hard G at the end?
SLINGIN apostrophe TENT. And see, that's doubly clever because it's like it's one word connected, but tent is short for content. So is the apostrophe for the missing G or for the con? It's for both.
Wow. That's galaxy brain shit right there.
So there, yeah.
I think I said this last episode, but I mean, I still need to watch your second episode, but it's great. I really enjoyed your first episode.
Cool, thanks. I actually
Very sweet.
I understand the draw to like maybe wait until more of them are out because right now we're putting about like once a month, and I plan on having maybe about 10. So I could see waiting.
That's right. Wait till the end. You can watch it as a film.
Yeah.
And just a plug for people who are fans of our pets. A certain Barry might make some cameos.
And
oh my gosh.
That was just for
Well,
Bobby.
I'm sold.
there's at least one other dog that makes a cameo too, but I've said too much.
You said too much?
Said too much. Because it's going to be probably 2 months before that one's out.
It's you a dog.
All right. And I know, Bobby, you have a fun podcast, another fun podcast.
I do. If you are so inclined, check out the My Mistress podcast. And What Are You Into is what it is called. It is on iTunes and Spotify right now. So check it out.
Cool. All right. Now, any last words?
Can I keep you?
I did not catch that. But when
You'll catch it on the audio.
Yeah. Right. Well, it was good to talk to you guys. Sam out.
Oh, that was all? Okay.
No, you
I
don't
don't
like
like that at all.
No, I
Why
don't
are you
like it.
doing
Terrible.
Nixon fingers?
Just awful.
That made me really uncomfortable.
All right. Well, thanks, everyone. Good night. Thanks for listening. And bye. And we'll see you later. This has been another Slingin' Tent production 2020, all rights reserved.